Did you know that Baltimore City health inspectors are actually posting the notices of the restaurants that they close down on Facebook and the internet for all to see? I want to talk about it. As you can see, we're driving. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Figured I am stuck on 495 and stop and go traffic, and I've got about 23 minutes of deep red on Waze. So popped you on the dashboard. We're gonna have a little chit chat while we cruise, and hopefully we can have a good discussion in the comments about what do you think about this whole Baltimore City thing. The other day I was scrolling through my Facebook feed and I saw a post that caught my eye. That post, you might be wondering, is there was a notice of a restaurant that was closed in Baltimore City, and the purpose for closing it was rodent infestation, and it was told to close immediately. I thought this was fascinating because they put the address and the business name, which you guys can Google the Baltimore City page and you can see it. They put all that stuff out there for everybody to see. If you think they should be doing this, leave a comment below and tell me, should they continue to do that? Or if you think that they shouldn't be doing it, tell me why you think that they should not be publicly announcing these closures. I'm going to tell you what I think. In my opinion, whenever you have a commercial thing, such as a restaurant, or if you're serving people that could, or if you're doing things that, in my opinion, if you're in business doing something that can impact the lives of somebody else, I feel that you should be held to a fairly high standard. Whether that is a bus driver, a food preparer, or even like an accountant. Whatever you're doing, you should be held to an incredibly high standard because your actions can impact the livelihood and or the health of whoever else you come in contact with. As we all are aware, every city has a health department. That health department oversees food preparation. And in this particular circumstance, we're talking about food preparation, not a tax accountant, because that's not my area of expertise. But we've got food preparation. These people go into the restaurants frequently to make sure that they're keeping dates, temperatures, labeling stuff, their fridges are good, they're not dirty, they're clean, how's the bathroom look, stuff like that. The things that we as consumers really want and expect our government to be doing for us to make sure that we don't get sick. There are some things that you can do in the restaurant world that can immediately get you shut down. One of those things is roaches and rats and just general cleanliness of your restaurant. Another one of those things could be your temperatures and your food preparation stations. In this particular circumstance, Baltimore City Health Department found a restaurant was disgusting and they shut it down. So they posted the address, they posted the name of the business, and they said that they were closed until further notice, until they were able to rectify the situation and get a re-inspection. Which, hey, I'm all for it. Like, if you're gonna close them down, give them a chance to open back up, and all they gotta do is clean the stupid building and then just get it re-inspected, you're good to go. I think that it is very important for the public to know about your business's process. That's why Google reviews exist. If you can have a public display of how good you are or how bad you are, I think that is important for the people who are consumers of your particular business or in your local area. I think that if you are going to get in such a bad shape to where the government shuts you down from business and tells you, you are no longer able to operate business in our city, I feel that the local community deserves to know that you are almost effectively poisoning them with how bad you're keeping your store. In this particular circumstance, there were a lot of comments talking about how disgusting their experiences were in this particular business. I think that's fair. If you're going to shut them down, you put it up in there and people are able to comment and talk about it. That means that business has not been run very well. On the flip side, I do think if you're going to shut people down for non-clean restaurant surfaces and roaches and rats and stuff, I think that you should publicly display the good ones, right? If you're only punishing the ones that are bad, it just makes the good ones look, like meh. There's no difference between them and a medium person and a bad person who hasn't been caught yet. So if you're going to call out all the bad guys, you gotta praise the good guys to incentivize their action. A lot of this comes down to making the people do what you want them to do. And generally, you get a lot better of a result with positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement. Shutting a business down is a negative reinforcement, which I agree with. I think that if you're not conducting yourself correctly, you should be shut down. You should not be allowed to operate and make people sick. I do think there was a city, I think it was in North Carolina or Georgia, it was one of the more southern states that I've been to, where they post the letter grade of the business on the window for everybody to see. I think that's a really good idea and the way that we ought to do things here in Baltimore City. Will that ever happen? Probably not. People are not usually going to change things for things that make sense, at least from what I can see in an anecdotal experience. Generally speaking, whenever I see things change, it's because somebody just happened to be in the right place, right time, talk to the right person to get whatever they wanted. And something like this, I don't really see that going to be a priority. There are a lot of other things I think that the government should be doing when it comes to food preparation. I do think that they should make it where you have to say when something was produced. Like, there should be a date on the packaging to say, hey, this was prepared this date, this time, or whatever. So that way you know you're not getting something that's super old. Maybe you have like the raw ingredients were purchased on this date. Will that ever happen? Probably not. I also kind of looked at this as if, you know, when people get arrested and the police departments will usually put like a booking photo or something like that on Facebook or out on the newspaper for people to see. This kind of reminds me of something like that, where if you're basically shutting down a business, you're putting them on blast. And I guess Facebook's a good way to do it. I'm not sure how much training the health inspectors go through, but I'm sure that I would hope that they're rigorously trained, because I worked in restaurants, I've worked in kitchens, and I know that it is not always the safest place, because there's all sorts of hot things, there's sharp things, the wet floors, there's a variety of safety hazards that you need to be careful of. But also, like, they're going into uncharted territory. They're going into some other random person's business and or kitchen, and you have no idea what these people are doing, what their personalities are. You have no idea whether they care or not. So you got to be conscious of that. And also, I feel like these people probably have to be really good at dealing with aggressive business owners and or employees, because when a health inspector shuts down a business, that's basically making it to where they're not able to make any money or get anything with their livelihood. So they have to be at least semi-competent on de-escalating situations and dealing with that sort of stuff, right? If you're a health inspector, let me know. I'm very curious. I've never been in that industry, so I don't really know what they do. When I worked in a kitchen, the health inspectors would basically walk in, they'd have a clipboard, a thermometer, and a whole bunch of like little alcohol wipes. Now this was about easily 10, 15 years ago that I was working in kitchens. And they would regularly just show up unannounced, and they would just kind of walk in and talk to the manager and say, hey, I'm XYZ with this health department. I'm here for your evaluation. They would come in, they would, be pleasant. They would do their thing. From there, they would spend probably about an hour in the business looking at everything, looking at the ice, looking at the drains. And then after that, they would give you some paperwork and you'd be good to go. And if there was any defects, then you would be told that you have to rectify XYZ. Like if you ever had dirty drains, right? That was a common one I saw in all the different kitchens I've worked in, is you might have one drain you forgot about and you haven't cleaned it in a while. And it's usually a utility sink of some variety. But they'll tell you, hey, you've got a nasty drain, you gotta go clean that. And then what you do is you go clean it and you're good to go. And as long as you don't get the same defect multiple times in a row, they don't usually get on you too hard. But that was also a long time ago. So I have no idea what these people do now. I'm sure some of the training's changed by this point, but I'm confident that it's going to be something similar to the way I saw it. I just really can't think of doing that job, because I'm sure that probably makes them not want to ever go out to eat ever again. Like, I'm sure that they see all sorts of nasty, nasty businesses and probably places they've eaten at before. and I'm confident that if they go back, they would probably never go back. And I'm sure that if I was doing that job, there's almost zero chance I would go back to a lot of restaurants that I was probably very, very in love with. Every restaurant's a little dirty in their own right, but like, you gotta do what you gotta do to keep it clean. And obviously we don't know how everybody's work ethic is, and that's why health inspectors exist, to keep on top of those who may not be doing things as ethically and or as clean as the rest of us would like. It does keep us safe though, to have somebody overseeing whatever they're doing. It looks like we've made it through that congestion. I wanted to make a little quick video. We're gonna get moving on our way and hopefully be smooth sailing back to Baltimore and out of DC. Like I said, leave that comment below. Let me know, do you think that people should be posting when they shut down businesses? I think it's a good thing. I think that they ought to publicly shame these businesses for how they've conducted themselves in the community. But I also think that we got to do a better job letting people who are actually doing a good job be recognized and praised for that behavior. So that way more people can do it, and it's basically free advertisement. If the city's saying, hey, this was an A+ rating, that's great. Me as a customer, 100%, I would be way more incentivized to go ahead and try them out. But anywho, I thought it was fun. Wanted to talk to you while we went through some traffic. And yeah, let me know if you like this style of video, and I can just keep the camera with me whenever we're not doing anything, and we can just start having some driving chats. Till next time, guys.